always surround yourself with the people that are better than you. And that makes you, a better person. Because they're teaching me. Constantly they're teaching me. I follow the ethos and I'm still trying to carry that on.
Welcome to the How They Lead podcast, hosted by Benjamin Wade and Ben Stocker. This podcast is dedicated to exploring the world of high performance, showcasing examples of how individuals and teams can reach their full potential.
Together, they'll be inviting amazing guests who have defined or represented high performance in their own right, from world record breakers to individuals who have achieved first in their fields. The How They Lead podcast will showcase a diverse range of guests, each with their unique stories and insights to share. So join us as we challenge traditional ways of doing things, explore new ideas, methods and possibilities, and evolve the way people perform. Raj, welcome to the next episode of How They Lead, our podcast where we're talking and having conversations with people who are at the forefront of leadership, on the rock face, some might say. We're trying to build a bank of leadership lessons that people can tap into, take back to their business and deploy with their team to be either a better person, better individual, team player, or help enhance their business. So today, really excited to hear your pretty extensive background and some of those insights that you can offer up both to us and to our listeners as well. I'll hand over to Ben for a little intro and dive straight in.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. Raj, lovely to see you again. We know each other because I had the pleasure of presenting to the St. Julian Scholars session a few weeks ago, and I loved the conversations that we had, and I thought, here's someone that we must get on the podcast to share their experience and ideas. So Raj, it'd be great if you could give us a rundown of your journey so far.
So my name is Raj. I'm the general manager at Magnum Spa Hotel. This is the flagship of the group, Magnum Hotel Group. So how I got here? It's a strange journey how I got here, really. I can write a book about it. And it'll be a couple of series, by the way, if I write a book. I born in India, grew up in a family. My dad was chartered accountant. My mom was head teacher of a school, specialized in history. Since I was little, I was I'm intrigued on cooking and all the spices that, as my background is from India, I was very intrigued and I loved the cooking bit. So, as from an Indian family, they all wanted to be doctors or engineers or all of that, but I wanted to be a cook. That didn't go down well. That did not go down well with my dad, and I was the only child. So I did my hotel management. Then I got a scholarship to do my degree in Robert Gordon University. So when I finished my degree, I got very lucky. I got a chef called Andy Jeffs. He used to be the head chef with Nico's. Chez Nico was 2 Michelin-star restaurant in Park Lane. I had the privilege of meeting him, and he invited me to come and work for him in London. So I worked with him for 3 years, and I was so intrigued by his skills. And he had a big house. So I said, listen, can I come and live in your house? So he said, yeah, why not? So I lived with him for 2 years. And then, my career really kicked off from there. And with the degree in hospitality, I know it helped me now. But at that stage, I really met some really strong-minded people in my life. When I worked with a chef called Henrik Iverson, it was amazing. He went to Australia after that. Then I went to Grosvenor Square Marriott, where Jason was there. Jason Knighton, was closely working with him for 3 years. And then the general manager of Grosvenor Square was a gentleman called Kevin Kelly. The way he nurtured me, the way he bring me to who I am today. I still call him boss. I still respect him like my dad, because I left home such a young age. He made me who I am today. He's the general manager now in Dove Mountain in USA. He run one of the best hotel in the world now. He's the general manager there. And everything I do now, still I run past it. So it's I have given my heart out to where I am today, but sometimes we have to have that mentor who believes in you, who gives you that extra bit that makes you who you are today. And this is exactly what I tried to do to my guys, to give them whatever I got and get them to be future me, to achieve, where I got to, from cooking, at home to, I cooked for Princess Anne. I did some big stuff, at home house. I cooked for Madonna for a month and a half. So I did some really big stuff. And then from Marriott, I opened St. Pancras Relations, which was the best thing I've ever done, 11.5 million F&B revenue. That was big. From there, I went and joined McDonald Hotel Group as a group chef. It's a regional group chef. Then one day I was driving my CEO from Oxford to Bath. And he said to me, Raj, what do you want to be in 5 years? I said, in 5 years' time, I want to run Bath Spa as a general manager. So he turned and told me, what can I do to make it happen? I said, I need to be more exposed to the elements. At this moment, I only know what I know. So then within 3 weeks, I got an email from him putting me into a general manager's development program. I did that for 6 months. And within 6 months, I was the deputy GM at Complete Angler in Marlow. And when I become that, they told me that within 10 months, how I do, I'll become a GM, and I was a GM within 10 months. So I went to a little hotel called Bear. It's one of the oldest coaching in UK. I took that business. It was a £1.4 million business. When I left in 2 years' time, it was a 2.7 million business. We turned it completely around. And I think they took a gamble with me by giving Bath Spa. So Bath Spa, it was about 7.2 million business. Now this year we're going to close to 11.7. We have raised the bar massively. I'm very fortunate. I've got a team of guys that's working with me for a while. I don't know why they follow me, but they love to follow me. You never know why. And I think, where I am today, yes, I've got the hunger. Yes, I want to achieve so much in my life. But the people, the leaders in my life that touched me have taught me so much. And I think they're the reason why I'm here today. And I want to give it back. And all the skills I've learned from them, the way they managed me, the way they, when the chips are down, those are the hardest time. And then they got me up again, get me going. And I think, yeah.
So Adam, all those years of experience and some really impressive snippets into your background there, what would you say that your style is, having taken so much from so many people and from your family as well? In one sort of sentence, could you summarize how you lead now? What is your style?
I'm very close to my people. I believe to get the best out of them, you have to be close to them. You have to understand them. Everybody got individual needs. You can't treat everybody exactly the same way. You got to treat people the way they are, and all of them has got different needs. So I respect who they are, what they are, and I change myself to get the best out of them rather than expecting them to change for me to what I want.
And do you think that is specific to hospitality? Because all the people that we've spoken to and have been fortunate enough to have on the podcast who have been involved in hospitality, where they are so close to their clients and customers 24 hours a day, do you think that your leadership style is changed by the fact that you are always one-to-one with the client? So knowing the clients to give them the best guest experience, that changes how you operate.
Exactly. And I believe in leading by examples. I always said to my exec team and my HODs that you are at the center stage 24/7. Guests are watching you, staff are watching you. Every action that you take has been watched and replicated. So I, like every day, I've got a daily schedule. I like to work. For me, everything needs to be there, so I go and achieve it. So there's a daily goal, there's an hourly goal, because I just want to make the best of my time. And I want everybody to do that as well. You know, we are here to make the best of our time, we live for 70 years, 80 years, 90 years. We're going to make best of every hour that we are living. So this is what I try to give it to them. So in the morning, say during checkout time, I'll be in the lobby, just having a little chit chat, understanding the guest journey better, understanding how my people are dealing with them. Then, during service time, I'll poke my nose, I'll be in there with them. And I'm very hands-on being a chef. I'm very hands-on. But then also, when I have to walk away, I walk away.
Yeah, that was going to be my question. So my question next was going to be, like, obviously already, like, our listeners and our viewers on YouTube will be able to get your passion, like your drive, like, even though you've achieved so much and you threw in all of those achievements quite quickly when you were talking about your career. And I know that's because you've achieved a lot and we've put some confines on time, but there's something you said there that just picked for me, which is you said you're incredibly hands-on, and I can see that. And then you said, but when you need to stand back and walk away. So my question is, like, how have you learnt over time when to jump in versus when to delegate?
That is completely experience. Time teaches you. Time heals you. Time teaches you. By working with some amazing people. I'm not Julian Tomlin. I have to mention him. He's my ND now. He believes in me massively, and he had this, chat with me every week, to make me a better manager, a bigger manager, to, for me to become a ND one day and get there. And by talking to him, by understanding him, now I learn how to walk away from a situation and let my managers handle it. They're there to handle it. And that gives them more confidence as well, that my boss believes in me to do my job. So it's hard. Trust me, it's so hard to walk away. I cannot tell you. But, once you get used to it, the happiness is seeing your people are managing a situation. It's more than you jumping in.
So, like, we've spoken to a number of our podcast guests, but also in the day-to-day work that we do, working with leaders and CEOs and owners of businesses, that hero mode where you get that hit of dopamine where you're like, hang on, I can help here. And you're right, like time, I like the way you said time as a healer and a teacher, I think you said. And I think that time to realize when you reflect back and think, I shouldn't have jumped in there, because actually I stopped their growth and I stopped their ability to do it without me. So you mentioned your MD there and the conversations that you've had. How did he draw out that understanding in you that delegating is going to be more powerful?
Because so Julian Tomlin, his background, he was the MD of Penny Park for 18 years. You can tell his background. He is the most calmest, coolest person I've ever met. I cannot tell you how calm the man is. The moment you meet, it doesn't matter what's going around you. The moment you speak to him, you totally calm down. And I don't know how to express this. It just makes you believe that time to walk away, and you as a person needs to know when is the time to walk away. Time to let them do it. I just don't think anybody can teach you that, though. When, like the leadership, nobody can teach you to be a leader. Like, I was listening to something of yours, Ben, when you said about, in the old times, leaders were born. You're right. But now, I think we become a leader of what we learn, the people we meet, and the work we do to ourselves to become the leader. And some things you can't really teach, it comes within.
Yeah, I think I kind of resonate. I think you can teach like interventional tools, so we can give you the toolkit, but how you apply that toolkit has got to come from like purposeful practice, hasn't it? And like planning it, doing it, reviewing it, and having, like, I think, like it sounds you do, have someone who can you can reflect that back to in one-to-ones. This is what happened. This is what I did. What do you think? Well, maybe Raj, maybe the chance there was to walk away and observe. Yeah.
And the people being led have changed, I think, over the generations as well. Now the people that are being led and on the teams, it's so much more about that sense of pride and passion and culture and goal setting, personal development, as opposed to quite an autocratic style, maybe 20, 30 years, just having an understanding as well.
People having a plan, team, like HODs or exec team, having that personal development plan. We set up 3 months goals. So we change our goals every 3 months. So every 3 months, I set them the goals. And then they come back to me and tell me that, okay, you have set these goals and this is the extra things that I'm going to do for you. But because we set the goals every 3 months, that conversation is every month. Because 3 months, 3 months, 3 months. And then, it works. It works for them. It works for me. So yeah, I think the team that I've got here, some of them are working for me for the last 5-6 years. And then some of them will go and become probably one of the best GMs, I think, my banqueting manager, she can be an amazing asset, in the near future. My chef, he can be the next GM. He's a very good boy. My F&B manager, what a guy. But if I can make at least 1 or 2 of them feature me, that's an amazing success.
It's really refreshing to hear. And I think since we first started this episode and talking to you, you've mentioned goal probably more times than any other word. And it's really interesting to hear because for a lot of our clients, that goal setting or succession planning is almost a bit taboo. For you to sit down with someone and say, would you like my position in sort of 4, 5, 6 years' time? And then to plan for you to be taken over by someone is a bit of a taboo topic, really. But it's such a hindrance to performance and the high performance of the team. So it's refreshing to hear that it's an open topic and you actively sit down and help develop someone and plan that succession.
Yeah, my sous chef at St. Pancras was with me for about 9 years. He's now the F&B director for Marriott in Europe. My exec sous runs Embry Manor now. My last operations manager in Bath is now the hotel manager at the Bear. My last rooms division manager here, my operations manager at Andrew Brown's Wood Hotel down the road, Bath Priory. So, it's so refreshing to see that these guys are, going out of here and creating something bigger and better for them. And I'm always here for them, They know that they can reach out to me anytime they want. And any advice that I can give to make them better, like Kevin Kelly still does for me. That you've got to fall back to somewhere to get that, advice.
So I've got 2 questions that come off the back, Raj. One is a closed one. It's a yes, no one for you. And then the other one is going to require some more grey matter. So the first one is, it sounds to me like your approach to developing people is almost to develop them to a point where they are too good for their role. Is that right? Great. Okay. So that was the yes, no question. Here's the grey matter one. How do you now, if you're purposefully as a leader developing people to be better than the role you've got for them, and maybe that purposefully they're going to get promoted or move elsewhere, how do you create a succession plan behind them? What do you do at the moment?
I'll give you an example of Megan, who joined the company when she was 16 as a waitress. So then 2019, just before the whole COVID hit, so we took her in the reception. Then we opened in 2021 for a little bit, but during the lockdown, we kept her on by herself to cancel all the bookings, to handle, to manage, move the bookings and everything. She shined so well. So when I started here, I promoted her to be our assistant reception manager. So we had a reception manager, we had a rooms division manager, we had all of that. So then last year, rooms division manager went in as ops manager, because I had ops manager here already at Bath Priory. my front office manager become my rules division manager, and Megan, my assistant reception manager, become my reception manager. So I always have that layer. Bogdan, who is leaving because his mom has got cancer right now, really sad story. He has to go back to look after his mother. So he started off with us as a supervisor in F&B and worked his way up to the restaurant manager position. So I got him in here. Then I promoted him to assistant F&B. So when F&B manager moved on, he became the F&B manager. So then I always like to promote within, because I invest a lot of time with my people, and there is the achievement is just amazing when you see that you've promoted somebody and they're doing so well. My spa manager, so we are a spa director who used to look after the leisure and spa both. So he left, he went and opened his own business. I took my assistant leisure manager and my assistant spa manager. I said, listen, I want to invest in you. What do you think? You tell me for you to become manager in your own department. So they did me a presentation. They gave me a 3 months, 6 months, and a year plan, what they're going to achieve. And Ben, what a fantastic presentation that was. I was blown away. So I took my group director of spa with me, sat him down. I said, listen, we got to change. We have got people within our business who can do a better job. Why we are looking elsewhere outside the company? Let's give that opportunity. So now my leisure manager now, the guy that I promoted, my membership from 520, now I'm sitting at 710, within 7 months. My spa manager, like 2 days ago, our columns were not full. So she managed to get this special chairs. She put it up in a reception. I came in, I said, what's this, Maria? Said, people went checking. I want to give them a 5 minutes little tester that what we can do down there. And she filled all the columns. But it just shows that giving people that opportunity, and believing in them, you can get so much more out of them, And then we had started growing another therapist, to challenge Maria's position, and then automatically the managers gets better.
It sounds like it also fosters creativity as well.
Absolutely.
But always changing. You've got a different perspective, like the chair in the reception. You don't get an opportunity for it to go stale or another capacity. You're always introducing new ideas and new people.
Yeah. So here's another interesting bit. So when that chair, the massage chair, was put in reception, what I just heard from you, and correct me if I'm wrong, is no one asked you if that was okay. It just happened. And so there's something we can decode there and share with people in business, hospitality, sport, etc. That actually, there's that trust. It appears to me you've been able to foster, because you're investing and leaning into your teams and their development. Like, I can imagine another culture where someone would be like, there's no way I am going to put that chair, like Raj would kick off in a different culture. So you're creating this culture where people feel like they can be entrepreneurial to really go for it. So like that kind of comes back to me. You've got Stephen Covey, who wrote, I think, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It talks about cool. Okay, so well, maybe this is a bit. This maybe I'm.
It made me cry, Ben. It made me cry.
Did it?
When you sit in the beach and you reflect on yourself, it made me cry.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't want to make you cry today. I don't want to make you cry today. But what I do want to do is I think we're beginning to decode a bit of how Raj leads. So Stephen Covey, so circle of control, circle of influence, circle of concern, but also you've got like comfort zone. So if you use that model, you've got circle of comfort and then stretch zone, and then kind of, pressure zone, or stress zone. It sounds to me like your MO for leading people is to not let people sit in their comfort zone for very long, keep them in the stretch zone, but don't overstress them.
Exactly. Exactly. I always say that if you keep doing what you're doing, you will stay in exactly the same spot where you are. If you change your things a little bit, you're going to move a little bit. But when you're going to look back, what you have done in a month's time, you'll be amazed how much you have moved, And my manager said, if I don't believe in them, then, what's the point of being here? What's the point of hospitality? Hospitality is all about caring for our guests and our people. If my people are happy, my guest will be happy. So it's giving and giving them the opportunity and the time to think and to create. And I think this is why we have moved so much in such a short period of time.
For one of our clients, they sort of aspire to do exactly as you've just described, but they're often unsure about how to communicate or set the boundaries for somebody to be creative within. So, for example, the chair that came up from the spa, everyone knew that you'd be happy because the customers would be happy and it's really creative. But how do you set the boundaries, or some people often call them the riverbanks, the parameters to work within so that you don't overstep the mark? How do you communicate that, or how do you set that without being too restrictive? I think that'd be a good takeaway to learn from this.
Yeah, of course. So the guys here, they're working with me for a long time. And I'm a very open book. Like, I am passionate about hospitality. I love what I do. I love where I work. I love my people. So they know my style. They know that what I will accept, that yes, let's do this. And then they know that what I will expect them to come and ask me that, Raj, look, I've got this wacky idea. What do you think? I might say, you know what, go ahead. Amazing. So one of this group wanted to do duck herding in my gardens, right? So my event manager came up with this idea because people do sheep herding, no problem. We never did duck herding, right? So I said, she was very scared of me, getting these 20 ducks running around when the leisure guests are in the house. So I said, no, please go ahead. What a cracking idea this is. So I think they know the boundaries. But, and it was such a big hit that leisure guests were standing around the garden seeing the people herding the ducks. It was just, yeah. I think because I give them so much of the string, they know not to misuse it, I guess.
Okay.
So I kind of just...
I know what Ben's question is going to be.
Oh.
Yeah, go on.
Oh, no, because now I think he was going to ask about duck herding, weren't he?
I think he...
No?
No.
Okay, so I think this is the question. Correct me if I'm wrong, okay? Because I dial in on how my business partner's brain works a little bit. So
It's a simple one.
It's a simple one. Oh, no, it's a simple question, not a simple brain. So I think the question is this, Raj. What do you do then when people do take too much of the string? In the past, how have you reset?
I'll use your example again. So you've got a function that was coming up. It's a very elderly people, pension people. They can't go up the stairs. So the lunch needs to be in the restaurant. And our restaurant tables are very expensive. And they're extremely heavy. Like if you try to move them, people can get injured. So I said to my one of my events ladies, I said, ladies, I've got no problem, but just tell them that we need to use the restaurant tables. We just can't do anything else. So then a month ago, I don't know why, I just wanted to check my functions, what's in the books. And I just said, let me just go and check. So I look at the function sheet. It says restaurant tables to be pushed on the side and the round tables to be put on the middle of the restaurant. Right? I said, okay. So I went to the lady. I said, hey, I thought we had the conversation. I saw that restaurant tables to be pushed on the side. And, oh, yeah, they said it's okay. I said, but was it okay for you, though? What do you think? What do you think? If you think that was okay, then I'm okay. Oh, no, it's not okay. I said, okay, so you give me the answer. It's not okay. Then you need to go to the guest and say it's not okay. We want to do, we were a 5-star hotel. We want to do everything right. We don't want to do something that those guests, potential 90 guests, could be my future guest in the hotel. So if they're seeing that we are cutting shortcut, so what do? So then, she went back to the client and then they came to a common ground. So we're using all the tables now. So this example leads back to your question that you just said to me, that I throw it back at them. Then, okay, fine, you want to do this? Do you think it's right? So it makes them think, and once they think it through, they usually come back with the right answer. If they don't, that's when I have to draw that boundary and say, listen.
Yeah, no, that's really good. And I think taking from what the question that I was going to ask that Ben asked, I think, and goes back to this goal setting, that actually people can't just assume that they're going to get it right based on what they think that you are thinking. So I think that it comes back to the fact that you rely so heavily on goals. So people know your goal, the whole hotel's goal, the mission is to please the customers and the guests. So if they're doing something they think is going to ultimately please the guests, then they will have your backing. Whereas a lot of businesses might not rely so heavily on the goals, so people don't really know where the boundaries are in terms of what they can do within that task. I think that might be the key takeaway here.
Yeah, and I think the questioning, kind of almost this coaching approach that you gave in that example, it's really powerful, isn't it? You hold the mirror up about someone's decisions and their actions in a different objective scenario to them. You're not in the pressure of making a decision there, and then it's like, now you're away from that, the client's gone. Do you still think you should use those tables rather? No, I don't. Okay, right. Well, now what do you think you should do? So I think that coaching philosophy that I think you have shines through.
And it cascades down, because then that person is then going to tell the rest of the team, oh no, the tables don't do this, do that. And then no one comes to you with that problem anymore, do they? It's a solution that's cascaded down far and wide.
And also, for example, last Sunday, they had a problem with the wedding. So I got a call from the chef. Chef said, oh, do you know what happened? I said, hold on, wait. Is it sorted? Yes. Is the bride and groom happy? Yes. I said, then I don't need to know. That means you guys did an amazing job. I don't need to know. And, by doing that, I think because the new wedding manager is very new, and, she thought that she's going to highlight to me. I said, listen, Kat, this is how I work. If there is a problem, you as a manager has dealt with it and solved the problem and actually did a better job than on that day. If I was here, then I don't need to know.
My final question then related to that, and then I promise I'm done. How do you come across as not abdicating your responsibilities then? And like the slopey shoulders when someone comes to you and you're like, well, you deal with that, or I don't need to know. It's quite often as a new leader, they might be reluctant to do that because it appears as if they're not taking on their responsibility.
Now, so it's what I'm saying here is, if my managers are there and they're sorting the situation out, then why do I need to undermine them? I hate undermining because, again, it comes to my chefing background. The taste of the soup is never the same, right? As a commis, you're never right. It never tastes the same. I think since then it's built into me that never undermine anybody. If he comes and tells me something, I never undermine them at all. And because of my open door policies, they're always here. I tell them, do not knock. If my door is shut, just come in, pop your head in. If you see I'm talking to somebody, just walk away. And hence, I want them to learn and do things, it's their business as much as mine, as much as my own. I deal my business as my own business, own money. And I expect them to treat it as their own money, own business. And once it gets built into your manager's head, you'll be amazed to see how they react to issue.
Love it. Sounds like perfect place to work, to be honest.
You're not going anywhere. Raj, don't offer him a job. No.
No, we have our problems. Every hotel has got their problem, Every hotel has got their issues when you have got 151 staff. It's a lot of staff, And, it's hard to keep everybody happy. And, this recently, we got to respect the mental health of people. COVID has done such a big damage to that with the young generations. And, it's tough. It's tough how you talk to people, how you deal with people. Again, it comes to dealing everybody differently, And I think it's teaching us every day about how we deal with people. Yeah, life is all about learning, isn't it? The quicker and more you learn, the better person you become.
And it sounds like, well, for me, it's coming across that the way that you appear so humble, and that actually you don't think that you're the expert in every area in the hotel, and you're humble enough to realise that you're experts are those people on your team. So an amazing follower, and you appreciate your team for the skills they bring to the hotel as well.
And then, with Kevin Kelly always taught me that surround yourself with people that are better than you. Always surround yourself with the people that are better than you. And that makes you, a better person. Because they're teaching me. Constantly they're teaching me. So I follow the ethos, and I'm still trying to carry that on.
It's great. Thank you, Raj. Thank you. We've got two more elements left of our conversation together. The first one is called our West Peak question. So we founded the business and called it West Peak based on the idea that you acquire skills and there's a saying that I think it says that like a little bit of knowledge is dangerous. So people acquire skill and they think that's the summit. Like, I know this now, and then time happens and they realize that wasn't the summit. It was a false peak, and there's a whole other mountain to climb. So I'm always really interested in our podcast guests, like, what have been some West Peak moments in your career where you thought you've got it nailed, and then you see the rest of the mountain, you're like, wow.
SJ's meeting, going there, meeting this. The guy that's sitting next to me is the GM of Nobu. Nobu, the hotel takes 65, 70 million pounds a year. Looking at him, the way he was acting, the way he was talking, I'm a sponge. I soak everything around me. And, if somebody doesn't have the energy, whatever they have got, I suck it up. Like he was sitting next to me and I was keep on prodding him with questions after questions. Because I don't know more. And I think doing this, like, become ISJS, it taught me that how much more I need to learn. Meeting Rob as I am, meeting Julian, I think joining getting the scholarship from Master in Orders. By the way, I'm going to Cornell University. I'm flying on Friday to finish my GMP program, and from next to New York. On the day when I was interviewing for the course, it was tough. We had some really big hitters in there. And meeting those people was a really West Peak moment, making me realize that how much more, I got to do, I got to give, and I've got to soak up to, become who they are now, So, yeah.
You gotta squeeze the sponge to be able to fill it up. You've got to give to learn more, yeah? Yeah. Cool, brilliant, thank you. Right. Quick fire round. Brace yourself, Raj, okay?
Go on.
The questions just to finish off. My one that I like is motivation or discipline for success. Motivation or discipline?
Both.
And if you could choose one, which would it be?
You know what? If I choose one, I will choose motivation, because if you have got the motivation, you can discipline yourself.
Oh, no, okay. My go, Raj. Finish this sentence, okay? The future is
beautiful.
Oh, like that.
Qualifications or experience?
I'm really sorry. I got to go with qualification.
Nice. Okay. We can't ask why.
No,
it's quick fire. Okay, quick fire. Okay, quick fire. Next one. My biggest mistake is.
So I think the one thing that I really regret is when I left my parents, I was so motivated and so focused, so goal-oriented to become who I am today, being a single child, I think I could have done more for them, but I choose my career and myself more over my parents, and I regret that every day of my life.
Well, thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing that. Last two? I think we have to. I think we have to. Go on.
Preparation or action?
Preparation, always.
Okay, last one. Feedback is...
Great.
Feedback is great.
It's the best thing in the world.
We'll ask for feedback on our performance as hosts afterwards, off the air.
Yeah. Raj, thank you. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure to have someone with so much passion, experience, and humility on the podcast. We've loved it.
Yeah, I think we've taken a lot from this one.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us on the How They Lead podcast.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode and learned something new about the world of high performance.
If you have any feedback or suggestions for future episodes, please don't hesitate to reach out to us.
And don't forget to subscribe to the How They Lead podcast on your favourite platform so you never miss an episode.
Until next time, keep pushing yourself to reach your full potential and evolve the way you perform.
And remember, just because something has always been done a certain way doesn't mean doing it a new way can't work.